What is up, everyone? This is Controller Cramps. This is my Slashback Saturday review. Slashback Saturday, of course, is brought to you by TheHORRORman. This is his challenge, and this is my video response to his video last Saturday. The theme this week, or the challenge this week, is you had to review a movie with the words deadly, dead, killer, or something like that in the title. And I was really happy to actually hear that, because there's a movie that I've been wanting to watch for quite a while. And I'll tell you why I hadn't watched it yet in a second. But that movie is The Driller Killer, and this is the Arrow release. Now, the reason I hadn't actually watched this before, and I hate to admit this, I watched a video, because I actually subscribe to a channel, it's called Bloodbath and Beyond. I'm sure you've probably heard of it if you love horror movies. And they did not like this movie at all. So when I got this movie, I kind of put it aside. I said, yeah, I'll watch it whenever I get a chance. They kind of turned me off from watching the movie, and I hate to say that, because I really should start judging. Well, you know what? Normally I do judge movies on my own, but for some reason they kind of made the case really well. I was just like, yeah, I'm probably not going to like this one. It sounds really boring. But I decided to watch it tonight, and I am glad I did, because to me, this is not a boring movie. I thought it was fantastic. The film itself is the first feature film by Abel Ferrara. Hope I'm saying that right. If you are a fan of Christopher Walken, especially Christopher Walken in the 90s, you may have seen a movie called King of New York. It's a kind of a gangster movie. It's a fantastic movie. He directed that. Also, if you are a fan of Harvey Keitel, I know I am, especially Harvey Keitel in the 90s, you've probably watched Bad Lieutenant, and it's probably one of your top 25 movies, because it is mine. Bad Lieutenant is fantastic. He directed that as well. I didn't realize that it was directed by Abel Ferrara. I don't know why. It's right here on the cover. But yeah, when I saw that tonight, I was like, oh boy, yeah, that's that guy. That's that director that did those. He hasn't really done a whole lot of really extraordinary things as far as movies go since Bad Lieutenant. There's a couple, but I like this director quite a bit. And for a first feature-length production or directorial debut, I thought it was fantastic. The film itself is about this gentleman. He's an artist, and he's very eccentric, very avant-garde, this kind of like an alternate living situation with his girlfriend, and then her girlfriend also lives with them. And it's sort of an artsy, New York-y, kind of a hipstery type of thing going on there. This takes place in the late 70s. They're also kind of, I guess they're also kind of like punk rockers, I guess, or they like punk rock, because that comes into play a little bit later. A punk rock group actually moves in downstairs as he's trying to finish his really big sort of painting of a buffalo. And he slowly goes insane from a combination of his living situation, I think, his economic situation, because he's getting all these bills, he can't afford the bills. He's kind of slowly going insane. And when this punk rock group moves in downstairs, that really made him kind of turn a corner and go really nuts. Because they played so loud all night long, and he was unable to concentrate and finish the painting. So he starts killing people, and he targets homeless people. And yeah, it's filmed in a very gritty sort of late 70s New York. If you like movies like The Warriors, that type of thing, the atmosphere of it really sort of reminded me of that. It also reminded me of sort of I don't know if you like combined like let's see, if you combine like the Sex Pistols, Andy Warhol, and like acid all together, like, and then you put it all in a movie and you know, tried to make it make sense. Okay, so maybe not Andy Warhol, Acid, and Sex Pistols, maybe like just Andy Warhol, the Sex Pistols, and a lot of drugs, and then sort of combined them all, like sort of stirred them into a pot, and you know, dumped them on a sheet of paper and wrote a script based on what's on the paper. That kind of reminds me of what this movie would be like. And then added a little bit of maybe sort of Maniac in there or something like that, you know, and just kind of stirred that in, put that into the mix. That's kind of what it reminded me like. I love it like in movies like this, especially set in like the 70s, that use that like soft red tones and sort of blue tones and soft lighting like that. Really adds to the atmosphere. It's like it really evokes the feeling of sort of blood and you know, sort of madness at times, things like that. I like that a lot. They did that in this movie quite a bit. They also, there's a lot of very dizzying sort of camera angles and stuff that really do kind of make you confused and dizzy. And there's also, it's a good picture of sort of that late 70s sort of punk rock phase that happened, that big boom of punk rock that I'm a big fan of, actually. I prefer early punk rock because that was real punk rock. You know, everybody sort of sold out later on, became more mainstream and everything. This is sort of the early days. And one of the things that the crew at Bed Bath & Beyond were like, I don't know if I like the music or not, you know, I don't know if it's good or not. Well, you know, punk rock at that time didn't need to be good. It just needed to be loud and obnoxious, and it was about freedom, you know, freedom of expression. So, I mean, there was I forget which member of the Sex Pistols, but he didn't even know how to play the guitar, really. Or he didn't really know how to play the bass. But they put him on, like, lead bass and stuff. And, I mean, it didn't matter, you know. They were loud, and they did what they wanted. And that was really about it was freedom, you know. It was really what punk rock was about. I was a bit of a punk, you know, kind of as a teenager, so I can relate to this whole atmosphere of the movie. I also kind of I'm into a lot of like indie rock, and I'm into punk rock still, but indie rock is sort of weird, psychedelic rock and things like that. So I dug this movie quite a bit. I'm actually probably, you know, I'm gonna end up watching it again. The kills, like another thing they're complaining about is that the kills, there weren't enough, and they weren't really bloody and things like that. I don't know which movie they watched. I don't know if they watched a different cut or something, but I mean, there's a scene where this dude like basically drills a homeless man right in the head, killing him, and it goes right in, and he's sort of shaking a little bit, and there's blood, and I mean, in real time, you know? It was a really good effect. And I mean, there's stuff like that all through the movie. There's a lot of kills in this movie. So I really don't know what they were talking about. I enjoyed this. I mean, it's not like a 10 out of 10 movie or anything, but for the directorial debut of Abel Ferrara, I think it's pretty good. And I think it's a decent slasher movie. I've seen much worse. I would give it a rating of at least 6.5 out of 10, maybe even a 7 on a good day. Like, you know, if I'm really in the mood for watching this. Sorry, my dog's drinking right now. We'll let her do that. But yeah, I mean, I really did enjoy this, and the transfer on this looks really good. The Blu-ray looks really good, the HD. I think this comes with there's a little booklet. That's his girlfriend's girlfriend right there. So, like, I'm not going to give away the end of the movie. I mean, it's not like a phenomenal ending. I mean, it makes sense that it went there. I'll say that much. I recommend it. See, I kind of like, well, that's the scene with the homeless person through his head right there. It says, the blood runs in rivers and the drill keeps tearing through flesh and bone. It's a very artistic sort of slasher movie. I think it's for more sophisticated tastes, in my opinion. Maybe not, maybe I'm imagining things. I recommend this. I'm actually gonna watch some of the extra features now. think there's an interview with Abel Ferrara in it. I enjoyed it. Check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. I think it's worth checking out. You know, I've heard complaints that it's slow. I don't think it's slow. It's building up. It sort of builds tension, you know, at the beginning. So there's not a whole ton of things going on at the beginning, but I recommend it. So check it out. Go subscribe to The Horror Man if you have not yet, and I will talk to you later. Thanks for watching.